What if I told you there's a river, longer than the Nile, running beneath one of the driest places on Earth? That's Saudi Arabia, a nation with no natural rivers, lakes, or freshwater streams, quietly built an underground water network that stretches over 8,700 miles, all hidden beneath sand and stone. And what if I told you it might not be enough? This is the story of how Saudi Arabia defied nature, built rivers where there were none, and why their greatest achievement might also be their greatest gamble. Saudi Arabia has always had one fatal weakness: water. Or rather, the absence of it. No rivers, no natural lakes, no steady rainfall. It's one of the driest countries on Earth, a place where the summer heat casually hits 122 degrees Fahrenheit, and rain is more rumor than forecast. For decades, the kingdom was gripped by a water shortage crisis. People hauled buckets, rationed showers, and watched crops shrivel. But today, entire cities bloom in the desert. What changed? The answer begins underground. In 2009, rumors began to swirl. Saudi Arabia was pumping millions of gallons of water underground. Not for storage, not by accident, but by design. Crazy, right? Turns out it was true. And they weren't burying water to hide it. They were hiding it from the sun. With no natural rivers, the country began building dams to capture the rare flash floods and seasonal rainfall that hit the desert. These floods fill dry riverbeds called wadis, which quickly vanish if left exposed. So Saudi built 522 dams, engineered to trap the fleeting rain, store it, and funnel it underground. Why? Because surface water in this climate doesn't survive. It evaporates. Collectively, these dams store a staggering 650 billion gallons of water. Some, like the Hawley Dam in Makkah province, double as flood control and groundwater recharge stations, helping the earth itself absorb and save what little water falls. But dams alone wouldn't cut it. Saudi Arabia's secret weapon was hidden deeper: groundwater. Beneath the Arabian Peninsula lies a vast network of ancient aquifers, filled with fossil water. That's water from a time when this land was lush, wet, and filled with rivers, thousands of years ago. Geologists estimate there's over 26 trillion gallons of it trapped below the desert. Sounds like a gold mine, right? Not so fast. Only a tiny portion, around 739 billion gallons per year, is renewable. That's the stuff that rain can replenish. The rest, once it's pumped, it's gone forever. No refills, no second chances. It's like drinking from a prehistoric savings account with no income. And yet, Saudi Arabia drinks deep. The water sustains farms, cools industries, waters golf courses, and fills swimming pools. Demand is growing, but supply, it's stuck in the past. Faced with vanishing reserves and a booming population, Saudi engineers did something wild. They built a river. Not a natural one, but a man-made pipeline system buried deep beneath the sand. An underground waterway that draws desalinated seawater from the Red Sea and Persian Gulf and pumps it across the country like blood through veins. This isn't just infrastructure, it's survival engineering. The system spans over 8,700 miles, longer than the Nile, the longest natural river on Earth, but unlike the Nile, you'll never see it. These pipes are buried to protect against heat, evaporation, and contamination. Originally, Saudi Arabia's water pipelines ran above ground, vulnerable to the blistering sun and frequent sandstorms, but now the newest arteries run deep, like an invisible river beneath the desert. The deeper the pipe, the cooler the water. The more pressurized the system, the more efficient the flow. In a land where every drop counts, this isn't just smart, it's essential. Building this river wasn't easy. It was an engineering war against rock, sand, and heat. To carve through the Hijaz Mountains, workers used tunnel boring machines and even controlled explosions to break through dense layers of granite and limestone. Each pipe, some over 2 meters wide, had to be perfectly laid, sealed, and pressure tested to avoid leaks, collapse, or contamination. Then came the desert. Blistering days over 122 degrees Fahrenheit, shifting dunes that swallowed tools, flash floods that washed away weeks of work, dust storms that blinded crews mid-operation. Construction teams adapted. They worked at night. They laid pipe before sunrise, they stabilized the soil, and slowly, beneath the baking earth, the river took shape. But here's the catch. You can't just pump seawater into your city. You need to desalinate it first. And desalination? It doesn't come cheap. Saudi Arabia is the world leader in desalination. By 2024, the kingdom operated 43 desalination plants with more in development. These plants remove salt, impurities, and bacteria, turning seawater into drinkable, usable fresh water. But desalination is a power-hungry beast. It costs 3 to 10 times more than traditional water sourcing. It uses massive amounts of electricity, often from non-renewable sources, and it creates a toxic byproduct, brine, a super salty sludge that, if dumped poorly, kills marine life. Still, Saudi presses forward. The Ras Al Khair plant on the eastern coast costs $7.2 billion and holds the Guinness World Record for the largest desalination plant on Earth, producing 792 million gallons of fresh water every day. For context, that's enough to supply water to 10 million people daily. Another major plant in Jubail delivers 211 million gallons a day. The kingdom isn't just catching up, it's lapping the world. But water isn't just for drinking, it's for greening the desert. Saudi Arabia has launched one of the most ambitious environmental projects on the planet, the Saudi Green Initiative, aiming to plant 10 billion trees and reforest 30% of its land. That's 184 million acres of dry, cracked earth, slated to become living, breathing, green ecosystems. Why? To combat desertification, improve food security, and cool down cities trapped in concrete and heat. Studies show that planting trees can reduce dangerous airborne particles like PM 2.5 by up to 20%. And in Saudi heat, even a 4-degree far drop in street temperature is a lifesaver. Cities like Riyadh and the futuristic Neom are now embedding greenery into their blueprints. Parks, green roofs, tree-lined streets. A new identity is being born, not just of oil and skyscrapers, but of shade, oxygen, and resilience. But despite all the progress, the pipelines, the dams, the desalination plants, one truth remains. Saudi Arabia uses more water than it can naturally replace. Every gallon of fossil water pumped is a gallon that will never return. Every year of drought puts pressure on the dams. Every new suburb or industry means more pipes, more water, more demand. This isn't just a desert, it's a high-stakes balancing act between innovation and depletion. If the fossil aquifers run dry and desalination can't scale fast enough, the kingdom will face a water reckoning, because even the greatest underground river in history has limits. Saudi Arabia has pulled off one of the greatest water engineering feats the world has ever seen. They turned dry riverbeds into reservoirs. They tapped ancient water trapped beneath millennia of sand. They built rivers underground, tunneled through mountains, and bent seawater into cities. But even a kingdom can't escape nature forever. What happens when the fossil water runs out? Can desalination keep pace with an exploding population? And what does this mean for the rest of us, in a world facing rising heat, water wars, and climate collapse? Because if Saudi Arabia, with all its wealth and technology, is running out of water, what chance do the rest of us have? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Because stories like this, they're more than facts, they're warnings.